Hello and welcome to the Mental Health Awareness video series. My name is Dr. Lynette Hillsberg and I am a counsellor. The subject of mental health is rarely discussed. Knowing what can control or change our mental health is important. We need to understand why we feel different and how the choices in our lives can affect our overall mental state. These videos are aimed to help open the conversation to bring awareness of this sensitive topic and encourage people to reach out for support if needed. The information will benefit the deaf, hard of hearing, vision impaired and hearing communities because the information is given in sign, voice and closed captions. As Auslan is my second language and out of respect to the community, I feel it's important that I have a deaf person sign on my behalf while I do voiceover. I would like to introduce James as the interviewer and Trisha as my deaf person who have agreed to help me raise awareness around this sensitive topic. I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land and pay our respects to the elders past, present and future, for they hold the memories, traditions, culture and hopes of Aboriginal Australia.
Hello and welcome. Today we are talking about domestic violence. This topic is quite sensitive and hard to talk about because it often goes hidden in the community. With me today, I have Dr. Lynette Hillsberg who will talk about this. Welcome Lynette and thanks for chatting.
Thanks James, it's a pleasure to be here.
So, the hard question, what is domestic violence?
Domestic violence, DV or abuse, it can affect different areas of a person's life, and the main areas are psychological or emotional, physical, sexual, financial. DV can happen to anyone. The problem is it's overlooked, excused or denied. Noticing and acknowledging the signs of a violent or abusive relationship is the first step to ending it. If you recognise the following information in yourself or someone that you know, then please take action. There is help available because no one should live in fear of the person that they love.
Okay, so can you explain what DV actually is?
DV is usually a pattern of incidents where controlling or threatening behaviour happens between intimate partners or family members, regardless of gender or sexuality, results in violence, abusive or aggressive behaviour within the home.
So what happens?
Well, the abuser doesn't play fair. They use acts of violence, fear, guilt, shame, humiliation, intimidation, isolation and exploitation to wear the other person down and keep them under control. They may also threaten or take their money and prevent them from leaving, as well as monitor their behaviour or frighten, punish or hurt those around them, the person including children, animals or personal belongings.
I see. And who does this happen to?
It can happen between heterosexual couples, same-sex relationships, within all age ranges, families, ethnic backgrounds, economic levels. It doesn't discriminate.
What is abusive behaviour? Is this the same as violence?
No, abusive behaviour, deliberate choice in order to control you. The person uses a variety of tactics to manipulate and exert their power. This is including dominance. They feel the need to be in charge of the relationship, so will make decisions for you and the family, to tell you what to do and expect you to obey without question. The abuser may treat you like a servant, child, or even as their possession. Humiliation. is where the abuser will do everything they can to make you feel bad about yourself or that you're worthless and no one else will want you. If they do this, then you're less likely to leave.
So, how do they do this?
Well, through insults, name-calling, shaming and public put-downs. These are all weapons of abuse designed to erode your self-esteem and make you feel powerless.
Are there other ways they do this?
Yeah, through isolation. To increase your dependence on them, the person will cut you off from the outside world. They may keep you from seeing family or friends or even prevent you from going to school or work. You may have to ask permission to do anything, go anywhere or see anyone. They also use threats to keep their partners from leaving or to scare them into dropping charges. The abuser may threaten to hurt or kill you, your children, other family members or even pets. They may also threaten to commit suicide, file false charges against you or report you to child services.
So, why doesn't the person just walk away?
Because of the intimidation. The abuser may use a variety of intimidation tactics designed to scare the person into submission. This could be threatening looks or gestures, smashing things in front of you, destroying property, hurting your pets, or even putting weapons on display. The clear message is that if you don't obey, there'll be violent consequences.
What if they're challenged about this? I know I would question this behaviour.
Yeah, but they use denial and blame. You see, abusers are very good at making excuses. They'll blame their abusive and violent behaviour on a bad childhood, a bad day, anything. They may minimise the abuse or deny that it occurred and commonly shift the responsibility they have, and sometimes that their behaviour is your fault. This type of abuse can be very damaging because the scars of emotional abuse are very real and run deep. And long term, this type of abuse can destroy self-worth, lead to anxiety and depression, and makes a person feel helpless.
So, does this behaviour lead to physical abuse?
The incidents of physical abuse may only occur 1 or 2 times. It only takes one episode of violence to make the person afraid for their future. If it's physical, then there may be unexplained frequent injuries such as bruising or cuts, broken bones, damage to the home or property, and if asked, the person may dismiss this and say it was from a fall or that they're just clumsy.
So, can you explain the difference between physical and sexual abuse within a relationship?
Well, to be clear, physical assault or battering is the use of physical force that injures or endangers that person inside or outside of the family. This is a crime and the police have power and authority to protect anyone from physical attack. And sexual abuse is where you are forced to participate in unwanted, unsafe or degrading sexual activity if the sex is forced, even from a spouse or intimate partner that you have consensual sex with. This is seen as an act of aggression and classified as domestic violence.
Right. So, what is economic or financial abuse?
Well, the abuser's goal is to control, and they will frequently use money to do so. They do this by rigidly controlling your finances, withholding money or credit cards, restricting you to an allowance or even stealing from you or taking your money. You may have to account for everything that you spend and withholding basic necessities such as food, clothes, medication, housing, etc. They can also prevent you from working or choosing your own career as well as sabotaging your job by making you miss work or calling constantly.
Are abusers able to control their behaviour?
Yeah, they do it all the time. They carefully choose when and where to abuse. Most abusers control themselves when no one else is around. To see this behaviour, and they immediately stop when it's their advantage, for example, when the police show up.
I've also heard of the term gaslighting. What is this?
The term comes from a 1938 stage play, Gaslight, in which the husband attempts to drive his wife crazy. He does this by dimming the lights powered by gas in their home, and when his wife points this out, he denies that the lights changed. This is an extremely effective form of emotional abuse. It causes a person to question their own feelings, instincts and sanity, and gives the abusive partner a lot of power. There's a variety of gaslighting techniques that an abusive partner might use. There's withholding, and this is where the abusive partner pretends not to understand or refuses to listen. For example, I don't want to hear this again. There's countering, which is where the abusive partner questions a person's memory of the events, even when they remember them correctly. For example, you're wrong, you never remember things correctly. There's blocking or diverting, and this is where the abusive partner changes the subject or questions a person's thoughts. For example, you're imagining things. Trivialising. This is where the abusive partner makes the victim's needs or feelings seem unimportant. For example, you're too sensitive. Forgetting or denying. The abusive partner pretends to have forgotten what exactly happened or denies things like promises made. For example, you're just making this stuff up.
So, with this type of behaviour, does it happen all the time, or is there a pattern? Because if I experience this, I would just leave.
Yeah, it's really hard for the person to leave as they have the emotional attachment within the relationship to start with. Domestic abuse falls into a common pattern or cycle of violence. There's abuse, where the abusive partner lashes out with aggression, belittling or violent behaviour. And this is a power play designed to show you who's the boss. There's guilt. For abusing you, the partner feels guilt, but not because of what they've done. They're more worried about being caught and facing the consequences of their behaviour. Excuses. The abuser rationalises what they've done. The person may come up with a string of excuses or blame you for their behaviour, anything to avoid taking responsibility. There's normal behaviour. The abuser does everything they can to regain control and keep you in the relationship. They may act if nothing's happened and they'll turn on the charm. This is called the peaceful honeymoon phase and may give you hope that they've changed. There's fantasy and planning. And the abuser begins to fantasise about abusing you again. They spend a lot of time thinking about what you've done wrong and how they'll make you pay. They then make a plan for turning the fantasy of abuse into reality. And there's the setup. The abuser sets you up and puts their plan into motion. This creates a situation where you can justify abusing you again. Going to the shops, being late home, wanting to know where you've been, what you're doing. This is a set-up behaviour pattern.
So, does the person recognise this pattern and that they are being continually set up?
No, not really. Because the abuser's apologies and loving gestures, in between the episodes of abuse, can make it really difficult for the person to leave. They may make you believe that you are the only person who can help them and that things will be different next time and that they truly love you.
Wow, I didn't realise how this happened. I thought it would be easy to leave a situation like this. I have a better understanding of this now.
Yeah, no one should have to endure this. The first step in helping someone who is in this situation is for them to recognise they're being abused. Once the reality of the situation is acknowledged, then they can seek help. Abusive behaviour is never acceptable. It doesn't matter if it's a man, woman, child, teenager, older adult. Everyone deserves to be valued, respected and safe.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, where can a person get help if they find themselves in this type of situation?
For women in the deaf community in Australia, there is an online chat 24/7 at 1800respect.org.au. And for the hearing community, you can call 1800RESPECT. For help for men in Australia, there's the 1 in 3 campaign, where you'll find numbers and website links online. Worldwide, you've got the Visit in the International Directory of Domestic Violence Agencies as a global list of helplines and crisis centres.
Well, thank you, Lynette, for explaining this important topic.
You're welcome, James. I look forward to chatting with you again.